Coming back to you from the studio, this is Relax Radio. We've got Chris on the show, and ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about everything ESG, where money is going, where you should be looking at, and how what the big goal of this is, right? And breaking it down, where should you be looking at? Where should you actually look at putting your money in, and understanding how you can be a part of positive impact towards this critical situation that the environment is going into. Chris, we can pick up off where we stopped. So we were talking about figuring out what places we can look at, how an individual that might feel like they don't have any option can actually make an impact towards this, if it's through taxes or if it is through donations, things like that. How do you pick a company? Yeah, how do you pick an agency or an NGO that is dedicated to this cause?
I think from our side, and the easiest thing for people to do is if you're already contributing to a pension or a savings and investment account or a unit trust, some kind of investment, you speak to your financial advisor or the people you're investing with and ask them a few questions. First of all, the fund managers they use, are they signatories to the Principles for Responsible Investment? That is an organization that's been set up that has kind of 6 principles to it, all to do with ESG. So these institutional investors and fund managers who are signatories to this document say, okay, in all our investment criteria, we are going to take ESG into account, which is a start, right? It's not perfect, it's not brilliant, but it's a start. Because people who aren't signatories to that don't. I mean, it's just straightforward. Also, speak to the investment professional about ESG. Do they have a fund? Do they have specific funds? They cater for this. A lot of them will, some of them won't. If they don't, what do you do? Well, I wouldn't move the fund just yet because it's tricky, and we'll go into that now to kind of say, okay, is the ESG fund as good on a return basis as, let's call it a normal fund? Some of them are, some of them aren't. It's the usual. You've got to do that due diligence. However, do the ESG funds actually make as much impact as we think they do at the moment? And, it's a tough question to answer, but let's have a look at some of it, right? I know some ESG funds that invest in Microsoft, basically because Microsoft has a policy that they are moving towards a greener kind of situation. And someone says, well, hang on, that's a software developer. They would do software. Why do they have an impact on the environment? Well, if you have a OneDrive account, which means you have storage, or you have a Hotmail account, which means you have storage, it means Microsoft has what's called a server farm. So they have a massive warehouse with huge amount of computers and servers sitting in there storing info. And we've all seen them on the TV. Those things are worse than a million cows farting every minute. You know what I mean? It's just pumping.
That's pretty much, we talk about cryptocurrency every now and then, but a part of the reason why from earlier this year, from around $60,000 a Bitcoin, it fell down all the way to around $35,000 because Elon Musk, he was at least one of the main reasons as to the drop. But he said that Tesla was going to stop taking transactions from that, and he said that it's negative towards the environment, and he would actually only consider getting back on it after there was a positive way. So these computers do cause quite a significant, I'd say, harm towards the environment as well. So
yeah, it's like hidden sugar, right? These costs to the climate are hidden in a lot of these things, and Bitcoin is a very good example because people don't realize the impact of the climate Bitcoin has, with all those computers mining it, all those computers busy doing the blockchain and verifying your transactions. That all takes electricity, and all that electricity is being drawn from big hubs still. So until that electricity becomes 100% sustainable, i.e. through wind and solar, that's going into that, and these companies, all these tools can prove that that's the case, you've got to think, hang on. However, an ESG fund will still invest in Microsoft because Microsoft is showing a move towards a better thing. And how they're doing it? Well, cover their server farm in solar panels, these kind of things, which are becoming a good solution because we are seeing new materials being kind of invented. We are seeing more efficiencies created in these alternative energy systems. So they are becoming quite viable. And solar is kind of at the leading edge of that. Here in England, we've got massive wind farms off the coast. They don't look as terrible as people think. You can see them there, but they're generating electricity, right? We need the hydro to keep going as well. China's a big hydroelectric kind of country with the Yangtze damming and things like that. So
China is actually doing, I'd say, as much as pollution as they are doing. I saw either them or Japan actually creating islands to solar farm islands, and they just put it in the sea. So that way they're saving up the land saving up area real estate. There's also in the Alps, I've also read that, there's people building, materials that would pretty much reflect the sun away from it. And, imagine coming to this point where, ice on, the mountains are melting and people have come to, put on material around the ice to, reduce the impact or the heat from the sun. It's pretty funny, right? And animals down in the ice caps, it's like they don't have space or food anymore. You look at the polar bears now, and just about 10 to 15 years ago, they look so malnourished now in comparison. So it's a sad story in a way. But I mean, how I'm thinking is that there's quite a bit of people that can easily get emotional about this conversation as well, because at the end of the day, it's Earth, and this is pretty much the only planet we've got. As much as there's a ton of investment going into space travel and moving to Mars, Elon Musk talks about, even Jeff Bezos talks about how he believes that we've exhausted our resources here. Bill Gates, I also read somewhere that, the way he looks at investing in ESG is through ROI, obviously. This is it should be this way, because he talks about how agriculture and how construction are two of the main industries that contribute to pollution, especially when it comes to air.
Meat production is the biggest as well, eh?
I'm sorry?
Meat production.
Exactly. So agriculture, yeah. And it's to look at a way in how you can reduce these impacts that he was talking about there.
Yeah, but you can even make it easier. Okay, a couple of things. Elon Musk launches rockets with big fat engines. Have you seen those things?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of
exactly. Now there's a bit of back and forth there, because he's also on one side building these cars and trying to reduce aeroplane travel with the Hyperloop story.
If his space rocket had an electric engine on, that would be something, right?
That would take quite a bit of energy. It can definitely get to that point. Don't get me wrong, but to keep that weight up and push it that far away from Earth, I think Boeing is coming up with hybrid planes, and you are getting hybrid boats as well now. Just like how cars started, right? So it's going to take a bit of testing and learning. But I don't think you can immediately put that switch on into. You need some force created against, if you're looking to put things into air. But it does cause quite a bit.
But look, it's easier than that, right? This is what you can do, and I try to do this in South Africa, and I haven't tried to do it here, but it'll eventually come. Is that, and here it's an interesting idea. You've got people who live in their houses, right? What you do is you fill their roof with solar panels. Okay. They don't pay for the solar panel. The investment, the fund manager pays for the solar panel, or someone investing in the solar panel. But how do we make money to the investor? So what you do is you rent that person's house, rent the roof space on top of the roof. The cost of that rent for the roof space is what their electricity would have cost. So they get free electricity, right? The extra electricity that is being created, you sell to the grid. You sell to the national grid for over a long contract at a set price. You can bring the price down. That gives a return or an ROI to the fund. The fund manager, I think when I worked it out, you could get about a 5% return. It's pretty much guaranteed because it's electricity being generated, being sold back to the government on a long-term contract. Now someone says, okay, well, it's one single home. Yes, but one single home times 5 million. Now, you're generating extra electricity, but what you're also doing is you're taking those homes off the grid. So you're getting that double whammy, right? So there's electricity draw coming away, and there's a bit of electricity going back in, which now can be used to electrify other things, which can be then taken off the grid, which means we use less coal. So that's an easy way to do it. That's a fairly it's not fairly straightforward, but the math works, and you need buy-in of quite a lot of stakeholders. But those are the things. Why it hasn't been done yet, I don't know, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I can do the math on that fund, and it looks fairly sustainable. If you've got a government like the UK, most other governments in first world countries, that will buy electricity from independent producers, because the UK already does that. They already buy electricity from independent solar producers and wind producers here in this country. So I think that'll be a good idea. And I don't see many people having a big pushback saying, well, now your electricity is for free, and we'll look after it. So that's one way that we can do it without, you don't need these Jeff Bezoses and the Elon Musks and the Bill Gates and all these big guys doing stuff. I think individually people can do stuff, and if we do it en masse, it works. The other thing, of course, is, as you said, agriculture. So people just eat less meat. And also, if you can, grow your own veg, or if you don't want to grow your own veg, just buy from your local market instead of the supermarket. And don't buy grapes out of season. Well, I do, but you know what I mean? Try and be seasonal. So it's all those little behaviors that we're all, I see people with placards and they're going, climate change and you've ruined the earth. And then it's January here in UK and they'll go and buy an Avo sandwich. I mean, it's avocado, man. So people aren't conscious about it all the time, and it can be quite hard. So, but there's a lot of little behaviors that can create big step change from people without necessarily getting all the big guys involved. So you start with your pension fund. Where's that being invested? Let's have a look. Let's do conscious stuff, and let's have an ESG discussion, so that gets moved to a better place. And then you go all the way through to, what am I actually consuming? Where am I buying it from? How far am I traveling? All that kind of stuff. Most people don't know their own carbon footprint. I don't know mine because how do we work it out? So that's another tool that could be useful.
Yeah, I mean, there is quite a bit of tech coming into play. And when I say tech, there's, okay, so let's say we create a method as to how we understand a person's personal carbon footprint, right? Yeah. How much of meat you eat, how much you travel, what you use to travel, how much of electricity you use in your house. Let's say if those factors alone come into play, and we create a calculator, right? If this calculator is done for everyone, and if we have one for companies, if we have one for company-wise, when I talk about companies, I mean, just like we said, agriculture, construction, everything, right? Yep. These can be analyzed at a certain rate and at a certain frequency, where you can put this all onto maybe a database of data collection, and eventually down the line you can maybe, if governments really want to, you can actually work with a couple of tech developers in your own country. And what machine learning does is you train the machine to understand, and you train the machine to look into what numbers and keep doing the calculations, So for you, it's just a matter of, you can make it work like a clock, like, you know how the clock automatically ticks, but this machine will be calculating all that over time. And, you know, those can be measured and maybe put on a public platform. And, you know, whoever is on, you know, the top 5 or something like that, you know, those companies would get, you know, a significant amount of, you know, respect, or, you know, good PR. And hopefully that way, maybe, you know, companies could get demand growing. So it'll have to switch up a lot. You know, concrete does quite a bit of damage as well, you know, to the environment. So I know Bill Gates. Sorry?
How things are built is important, right?
Exactly.
You could have a rating, and I think this is what is needed. You're actually right. A climate rating on everything, from the chocolate bar you buy in your local market, all the way through to the house you live in. What is that climate rating? Not the efficiency rating, but what's the climate rating, which means that how far has that chocolate bar traveled to get to you, and what was the carbon used to make the thing, you know, which I think is important so people can understand it. And we're trying to do that with investment funds. I think it can extend everywhere, and there's big scope for this. You know, there's massive scope for this, and it all. Unfortunately, there's room for there'll be a lot of wiggle room, because it's like the calorie labels on foods, right? I mean, those are misnomers at the best of times. So we'll have a bit of that. But you know, we can only try. I think people just have to do little things and look at, like, the principles for responsible investing kind of signatories and where they're investing, and trying to understand what's going on. People don't really want to know about it. It's like, you know, my daughter will eat a steak, but she doesn't want to know it comes from a cow, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it you know, the truth hurts. But that, you know, to counter this also, you know, there's you know, vegan meat, there's factory manufactured, you know, meat, alternative solutions coming out like that now. I heard that just today, McDonald's created a plant-based burger, and you know, brands like Beyond Meat, you know, these guys. I mean, I've only heard. I'm not going to lie, I haven't tried them out, but what these guys do is they grow lab-grown meat, or they create meat out of, you know, alternatives. It's things like, you know, if you can make things like, I've had, you know, vegan sausages. So these are either made with mushrooms or soy meat, things like that, right? So it might not taste exactly the same, but, you know.
Are you looking to achieve the most relevant qualification to kickstart your career? Then reward yourself with the best globally recognized professional business qualification, CIMA. Irrespective of the field you aspire to succeed in, a CIMA qualification can add immense value to your resume and professional life. Succeed in your CIMA journey with supportive tuition provided by qualified lecturers and resources. Nanaska is the leading registered CIMA tuition provider in Sri Lanka, with over a decade in the industry and hundreds of success stories. With qualified and certified tutors, Nanaska now provides easy access 100% virtual classes so that you could succeed at your exams and in life right from the comfort of your home. At Nanaska, it's not just about a qualification. We help you think out of the box and build a personality. Exciting offers also await students overseas. Enroll now. Call +94 77 499 7338 or visit www.nanaska.com. Commence your CIMA journey at Nanaska and become a globally recognized leader. Nanaska, smile with results.
Yeah.
I'm in an ad now if you need.
So talking about, you know, we were talking about, you know, alternative solutions for, you know, burgers. I think we had a bit of a technical glitch there. One of us froze, but I'm not sure which side. But yeah, we're back now. We have just about 5 minutes left for the show, but, you know, just to wrap things up, I think, just like, you know, you spoke about, Chris, you know, that you need to look at how companies are actually calculating these their impact, right? Now, if it is, carbon grams per employee, I just did, production for a company in, in around, that they work in Bangladesh, they work all around Southeast Asia, and they were updating their company profile video, right? And how they were, they're very invested in, reducing their carbon footprint per employee. So, it's grams per employee. It's they go into things like that as well. So there are quite a few calculations or measurements coming out now. It's just a matter of capitalizing on these and improving them as well. So yeah, reducing your meat consumption. We were talking about I was talking about mushroom made sausages, or soy meat sausages. These are solutions these are alternatives rather that you can buy from the shops anywhere now. I still haven't tried Beyond Meat, but people say that it's supposed to be as tasty as real steak. Yeah. But
looks interesting, right? I haven't tried it either, but also think where's the electricity coming to power the lab that's generating your meat?
Yeah, that's true.
While it is better, are we just maybe iterating rather than step changing? So it's you just got to ask the question, man. People just got to ask questions, and you can always delve back to where it originated from.
Are you looking to achieve the most relevant qualification to kickstart your career? Then reward yourself with the best globally recognized professional business qualification, CIMA. Irrespective of the field you aspire to succeed in, a CIMA qualification can add immense value to your resume and professional life. Succeed in your CIMA journey with supportive tuition provided by qualified lecturers and resources. Nanaska is the leading registered CIMA tuition provider in Sri Lanka with over a decade in the industry and hundreds of success stories. With qualified and certified tutors, Nanaska now provides easy access 100% virtual classes so that you could succeed at your exams and in life right from the comfort of your home. At Nanaska, it's not just about a qualification. We help you think out of the box and build a personality. Exciting offers also await students overseas. Enroll now. Call +94 77 499 7338 or visit www.nanaska.com. Commence your CIMA journey at Nanaska and become a globally recognized leader. Nanaska, smile with results.
Yeah, back again. I think we're both having a little technical difficulties. You can't stop this, right? It comes on with calls and all that as well. I know data providers, right? Service providers, they're actually hitting, at least last year, they started hitting numbers that they were expecting only in 2022. Now, this is in 2020, right? Because of the consumption of data. So that's crazy, right? Everyone's working from home, and you need to, if everyone's on calls, video calls and things like that, it's a ton of usage. But you were saying, Chris, apart from, how, you need to consider and keep in mind from where your electricity is coming as well. I think, if it's looking at grids, if not the government, maybe private companies should start working with these and adjusting their path from where they're getting electricity to supply to houses or factories, right?
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's the barrier to entry is just the enormity of cost. And of course, a government's not going to give up its control of a national grid because that's the country. But they will allow, and they are allowing more and more independent providers to sell electricity into the grid. So it's important because the infrastructure is massive. I mean, for any country, that's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Look, small changes. Be conscious about what you think, and ESG investing is kind of in the ascendancy. I mean, we're getting some good returns on the funds, and people are talking about it more. So it is quite positive. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with that being said, I think it's about that time we call it a show, and yeah, I mean, this conversation has been important. I mean, it's good to know where your what you're consuming and where it's coming from, right? Just because the end product might be something eco-friendly or green doesn't mean it's from root positive towards the environment. So some companies may have a good intention, but they might not be educated on the other processes that they actually taking place in and the negative impacts of that. But investing in ESGs companies and investing in this whole topic is as important as talking about it. So thanks, Chris, for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always. We're looking forward to next week. We'll come back with another topic around finance and getting your finance knowledge up.
Sort it out. Thanks, Tim.
This is The Buzz with Chris on Thursdays. Remember, from 12 to 1 p.m. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're tuned in for the rest of the show and for the rest of the week. We'll see Chris next week. Thank you.